How's it going, everybody? So I just received my Plex 4G LTE dual band router in the mail, and I wanted to show you just how easy it is to set one of these things up. So we're going to do a quick unboxing. I'll show you everything that's included. We'll do a configuration, and I'll even do a speed test with you. Let's get into it. So once again, this is the Plex 4G LTE dual band router. This is the AC1200 model. Let's go ahead and unbox it. Now, as you can see, there's actually a SIM card that it comes included, and it has different breakaway points to size it appropriately depending on what model you're using. We'll get into that in a second. Also included in the box is a Ethernet cable as well as a power adapter. Now let's go ahead and extend these antennas out and slide the packaging right off. And you'll notice that there are 4 antennas on this unit, and they simply lift into place like so, while the back 2 actually do a little rotation like this. Next, we'll insert our SIM card. Now, as I said before, there are 3 different size configurations possible here: the nano, micro, and standard. This particular model calls for a micro. So we're going to go ahead and pop that out of the mold there, and I'll show you how to insert it in the back here. Now on the back here, there's a slot called micro SIM, and that's where we're going to put this in. You want to make sure you insert it until you hear it click. That's how you know it is secure. Now, the main benefit here is that you can utilize this SIM card to access the internet wirelessly. But there is something you should notice. There are 4 Ethernet ports on the back of this unit, the 4th of which is still a WAN port. Now, a WAN port would allow you to connect to a traditional style modem. You'd simply plug in the Ethernet cable, connect the other end to your modem, and you'd be able to use it as a traditional router without using the 4G LTE. The first 3 slots are for external devices. So if you have an old school computer tower or something like that that doesn't have a Wi-Fi receiver, you can still utilize an Ethernet cable to connect it to this router. And last but not least is our power adapter. Next, we'll go through configuration. Once you get your router plugged in, you'll notice that there's a small LED indicator underneath the word Plex. If it's illuminated in blue, it means you've already successfully connected to a 4G network. Let's dive into configuration. Using the information on the back of your router, log on to the Wi-Fi network that is designated to your device. Now, you may have noticed inside the list just now in the drop-down menu, there were 2 different names for our Wi-Fi network. That's because your device gives off 2 different bands, the 2.4 gigahertz and the 5. Now, there is a difference between these 2 bands, and we'll cover that in just a little bit. In the meantime, let's log on. Of course, in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see that our Wi-Fi logo is now illuminated. It is showing full bars, which means that we are getting a strong signal from the router. In order to configure, let's go to our address bar and type 10.0.0.1. And that's going to take us to a logon page for our Plex router. So we'll log in using the password that was on the bottom of the router. In this case, it is change me. And once you're logged in, you'll notice a series of boxes giving you different bits of information. The one I'd like to focus on, though, is the status box. In order to set up, we're going to click Quick Setup, and then continue forward by clicking Next. Now, there are a series of optional fields that you can customize here, but I'm not going to get lost in the weeds. This is about getting online as quickly as possible. So we're going to click Next. So on this page, you'll be able to configure the passwords for your respective bands. And you'll notice there are 2 bands displayed here, the 2.4 and the 5. If you're not familiar with the difference between these two bands, it might help to think of them the same way you would as an AM and FM radio signal. The AM signal is going to go much, much farther than the FM, but it will be of lower quality. So generally speaking, when you're connecting items in your house to Wi-Fi, if it's a computer or a TV, something you'll be streaming from, if you can, it's always best to connect to a 5G. If you're connecting something like a vacuum cleaner or something like that, it may be more beneficial to hook it up to the 2.4. Now that we've saved our settings, we can see on the home screen here that there's download and upload signal registering. This tells us that we're officially online, and the only thing that's left is to run a speed test. In order to accomplish this, we're going to log on to a third-party speed test website. And the first thing that we're going to test is our download speed, followed directly by our upload speed. You might be asking yourself what the difference is between these two. And the easy way to remember is download speed is how quickly you are receiving information from the internet, while upload speed is how quickly you are sending information to the internet. So it looks like our download speed was 14.86 megabits per second. That's going to be more than enough for any kind of HD video streaming. So if you like Netflix or you're on YouTube all the time, you will be just fine. Next up, we have our upload speed, which is 6.76 megabits per second. That's going to be more than enough for your Zoom calls, video conferences. So if you're someone that works from home, you'll be just fine with this upload speed. And that wraps up our tutorial. If there are any follow-up questions, please feel free to contact our customer support team. Thank you so much for choosing XmartFi.